Hello, Professor. My name is Alex McLean, and this is my final functional movement screen project. So, my clinical history is I got a grade 3 shoulder separation a few years ago. It did not require surgery because all the ligaments were ripped off, and it took at least 8 weeks of rest before I could even start thinking of moving it again. And then I went to physical therapy to get that mobility back. I did suffer from a lateral pelvic tilt for a long time in high school. I went to chiropractors and physical therapy for years. It caused a lot of sciatica pain, numbness, limping, and just overall pain in the lower back. I learned to stretch my hip flexors and hamstrings and mainly fixed my posture, which really helps a lot. And when I went to the chiropractor, I learned that I had 3 to 4 spinal fractures in my thoracic and cervical spine. The ends of the spinous process are chipped off and are held into place by scar tissue. And I do have flat feet. My feet hurt all the time and give me shin splints if I'm on them too much. Arch exercises really help alleviate the pain, and the massage gun feels great on my arches as well when they're flaring up. My movement history is I played professional roller hockey in high school. I did roller hockey for around 11 years. I was on the surf team in high school for 4 years, skateboarding for five, um, golfing for 2 years. I was on my community college swim team for 2 years. I try and mountain bike every month, and I've played disc golf for around 2 years as well. My current day to day movements is I work as a groundskeeper at a golf course. This is, I'm doing anything from hand mowing greens to raking bunkers, irrigation. I'm just on my feet running around all day pretty much. I try and surf at least once a week. I like to golf. I've been trying to do that at least once a week as well. Like the disc golf all the time on the weekends. I do sleep on my side and I do a lot of sitting for school. Starting with the normal deep squat exercise in the sagittal view. I am leaning to my right side a lot because I do have tight hips and I am a right side dominant person, so my right leg is significantly stronger than my left. So I tend to bear more weight on it. I also found out that my hamstrings are pretty tight as well when I film them doing the active straight leg test, but we'll see that later. Um, and as you can see, my knees are in a varus motion. And as I come down to the deepest part of my squat, we can see that I do posteriorly tilt my pelvis the last second. With the block underneath my feet, we can see that the dowel is a lot more straight, but my knees are still varus, and I am still leaning to my left, to my right. And as you can see, when I do go into the deepest part of the squat, I am posteriorly tilting. And this motion actually has a name. It's called the butt wink. I think I'm doing this because my hips are running out of range of motion because the head of the femur is hitting my acetabulum and my pelvis is tilting posteriorly, causing my lumbar spine to flex. I don't seem to have any control issues because I'm not flopping down or anything. And for the hurdle step, there is a lot of instability in the trunk and hip hiking that causes my pelvis to swing to the side. This is because I have the inability to functionally shorten my leg swing, or my swing leg, which is due to my weak hip flexor muscles. And in the sagittal view, or sorry, the frontal. In the frontal view, we do see a little bit of lumbar lordosis from weak muscles in the back and tense muscles in the front. The pelvis is rotating to compensate in order to get the knee over the dowel, or oh, sorry, over the string from lumbar pelvic instability. And for the inline lunge, whoops. For the inline lunge, I do have a lot of instability and wobbling on the way down from the sagittal plane and frontal plane. And from the frontal plane, we can see I do have a little bit of a hyperlordoric posture, which indicates that I do indeed have tight hip flexor muscles. And we can also see that the dowel does not remain vertical. In this next slide, we can see the dowel is tilted even more because my right shoulder lacks the mobility because I did separate it. We can also see that I don't come all the way down because my Achilles on my right leg felt a lot tighter than my left, which indicates I have some dorsiflexion restriction. So for the active straight leg, this is where um, my overactive hip flexors and tight hamstrings really shine. As you can see, I'm forcing my leg up way too high, and since my hips and my hamstrings are so tight, it's dragging my other leg along with it a lot. My tight hamstring seems to be a little bit more loose on the left leg. Yeah, just a little bit. It's not hiking up as much. Um, and then in the sagittal plane, we can see that I'm thrusting up so hard that I'm actually medially rotating my hips because I am so tight. And we can also see me externally rotating my foot due to compensation from driving the leg up so hard. Um, oops. Yeah, just same story. Same story here. Foot is internally rotating, driving up way too hard. For the for the trunk stability push-up, I did feel pretty good on this one. Um, I didn't have a lot of trouble coming up and controlling my way down. And when I do come all the way up, I do have a little bit of thoracic kyphosis because I think it's because I'm fully just protracting my scapula so much. And in the sagittal view, we can see that I am leaning to the right a little bit, but I do think this is because I am a right dominant, so I tend to just put more weight on that side. So for the rotary stability, I could only do diagonal repetitions, oops, because my biggest issue here was the pelvic tilt of my hypolordosis. You can really see my back rounding right here, showing the instability of my pelvis. But the other side, it wasn't as bad right here, but it is still rotating a lot. Then there's this. Same thing. I did okay on this one, but there was some instability issues. For my spinal extension clearing test, I did fine on all those. I didn't feel any pain, anything like that, so I passed that. Spinal flexion, that was all good. Didn't feel any pain there. My shoulder mobility, actually, I was having trouble with my right side. Yeah, when my right arm was on the bottom, I think I lost some mobility when I separated my shoulder, but that's kind of to be expected. Yeah, shoulder mobility clearing test, totally fine. Didn't feel any pain. For my corrective exercises, so for my hyperlordotic extension intolerance, I'm planning to do some anti-extension exercises like plank, stir the pot, ab wheel, uh, glute activation exercises. I'll do some donkey kick pulses, the fire hydrant, and the bouncing lunge. For the hypolordotic, I'll be addressing that posterior pelvic tilt with anti-flexion exercises, which include medicine ball twist hold, knee to stand overhead hold, and the crawling plank. And I'll do some hamstring flexibility by doing a lying hamstring stretch, downward dog, and extended triangle pose. And for my rotary instability, I'll be doing some core activation, bird dogs, side bridge, the Pallof press, and for glute med activation, I would do some side laying, hip abduction, monster walks, and lateral band walks. And I actually did 3 regressions for the single leg. Sorry, for the active straight leg raise. At first, I did this where I held both my legs up in the air and I just slowly put one down. This didn't feel good at all. It really didn't. I was kind of like shaking. I actually felt a lot of core instability. Um, yeah, that just did not work. Um, and then so for this was my regression right here. This one actually felt a lot better, but I don't know. It was just too much. It still kind of hurt my leg a lot. And then the last regression, this one felt great. I am still hiking my butt up a little bit. I really got to focus on activating those core muscles to keep all that down to properly do the stretch. But this one felt amazing actually, and you can see that I'm like really getting my foot up there. Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, and that is my video. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it.